Welcome to the Silver Screen Podcast. I'm Jared Boomer.
And I'm Katie Gainey West. This is a podcast about movies and pop culture.
And today we're talking about all kinds of things. We're going to talk about TV shows. We're going to talk about movies. We've got like a whole summer roundup for you, basically, of things, which is exciting.
Yes, I've been busy, Jared. When we said we were going to do this, I was like, okay, I made a list. On my notes app on my phone, and I made all the TV shows I need to watch, movies. I still have a list, but I was like, these are the things I really want to watch. And a lot of them, I will say, Jared, I put in a lot of time and effort in August because a lot of them were Emmy nominated, and the Emmys are coming up soon. So I wanted to try and watch that material.
Just a few weeks away from the Emmys, which is very exciting. So we've got a bunch of stuff to talk about. And we also want to let you know that we're still going to try to do periodic episodes. So no like rhyme or reason as to when we might do an episode. It's kind of exciting for you as the listener because one might just pop up in your feed randomly, probably like this one did when you just saw it appear and decided to listen to it. So just know that we will have occasional episodes. I will say when we get into more of the Oscar movies and things like that, we tend to do a little bit more content just because that's kind of what we focus on, in general is the Oscars and kind of the best picture nominees and things like that. So once those start rolling out, we may do, we may have a couple episodes or whatever, either on a particular movie or we might combine like a couple of movies into an episode. We will let you know on today's episode, we are going to talk a little bit at length about some of the movies we saw this summer, those being F1, The Materialists, Superman, Fantastic Four. We might hit on a few others in there. I've got some Jurassic World comments. Yeah. So we'll talk about that a little bit. But some of the big summer movies we'll discuss a little bit. Not like full, huge, in-depth reviews, but just kind of quick hitters on what we liked about
like a mini
those.
review.
So, exactly. So first, though, we're going to start with news, which is what we always start with. So first up, we have some things that have ended. And just like that, the Sex and the City spinoff has officially ended. And The Late Show with Stephen Colbert is going to end in May of 2026.
Jared,
I know one of those affects you more than the other.
Well, they both affected me. Both destroyed. Well, Sex and the City was upsetting. Well, and just like that, because it was very abrupt. I cannot remember the last time so many people dogged on a show, though. I was enjoying it still. I didn't think it was a masterpiece, but it was like a fun thing to watch once a week. I loved the fashion still. I love Sarah Jessica Parker. So that was fine. But the last episode, Jared, did you hear about this?
I did not, no.
There was a poop incident. Yeah, you heard that right, people.
Okay.
There was an incident with Victor Garber, who everyone loves, respected actor, and a bathroom fiasco. And I was like, are you and we're talking last 15 minutes of the whole show. Like the series ended after this. And they planned this because they knew it was going to be the last. Part of me wonders if they were going to get canceled. And so they said they were intentionally ending it. But either way, it was not a great ending. But it's okay because Sex and the City gave me everything I ever wanted. Okay. Stephen Colbert. I'm devastated. I'm beyond devastated. I mean, this isn't as bad as like when Ruth Bader Ginsburg died, but this is terrible for me. But fun thing I found out last night, and I already ordered this. You know Funko Pop?
Yeah. They're doing a Stephen Colbert one?
They sure are, and it's a limited edition, and it's automatically 10% off right now if you go buy it, and they're doing a pre-order, so you don't get it until February. But nice. You bet your bottom dollar. I went, the minute I heard him mention it last night when I was watching the monologue, which was like 2 days old at this point, I ordered it. And I don't buy a lot of Funko Pops. The only two I own are Ruth Bader Ginsburg and Jessica Fletcher, which is Angela Lansbury's character in Murder, She Wrote. So now I will have, and they're at my job at work, and now I'll add Stephen Colbert to the mix in February.
I'll have to order that because I have right behind me Conan O'Brien, which you may be able to see. And then I have Mr. Rogers.
No, you don't.
I have Alex Trebek somewhere. So I don't have many either, but I have just a few.
That's adorable. I didn't know they had a Mr. Rogers
one. They do have a Mr. Rogers one. And he comes here. I'll just grab it.
Well, the Stephen Colbert one is so cute. And yes.
A little trolley too. So
that is so cute. Won't you be my neighbor?
I leave him in the box, but I guess I could take him out too. I'm not gonna
I take him out
I don't know.
Like, I'm not collecting these. Like this is for my own
I think it was just
Joy.
easier to put it in the box. So, but I
Yeah.
might just take it out of there.
But
So
if you all want it right now, they have
great.
them funkopop.com or funko.com, whatever it is. And you can get the Stephen Colbert one. It's really cute.
Nice. Some other news. The Emmys we already mentioned; those are coming up very soon. As we're recording this, they will be next week, on Sunday, September 14th at 8 o'clock. So excited to see what wins for the Emmys. Personally, I'm pulling for. I would like to see The Pit win a decent amount. I thought that show was really good.
Mm-hmm.
Severance, I would be fine with Severance winning some things. So those are probably my two top, like,
Yikes.
shows I want to see win.
You just named the two shows I haven't watched yet. So, uh-oh. Now, The Pit, I have heard rave reviews. I haven't heard a single person say a bad thing about The Pit. I wonder if I could watch it by next week.
It's
How
a
many
lot of
episodes we
episodes.
talking? It's a
It's a
lot.
lot. Yeah, it's like 15 maybe. So,
That is a
and
lot.
they're all
Okay,
like an
maybe,
hour.
you know
So,
what? I'm going to take it easy on myself and not do that.
okay.
Severance, I've still not seen the second season. Second? Third?
Okay.
Second?
Yes. Third season? Okay.
Whatever the most
Yeah.
recent one is, I haven't watched. And then also The Bear, I haven't watched the most recent season of The Bear, which I know you have
Se-
comments on later.
yeah, second season of Severance.
Okay.
Sorry. Third
No
season
problem.
it's been renewed, but it's not. I couldn't remember. So,
Okay.
yeah.
So, but
There
that's
will be a
awesome.
third season, but it's not out yet. Yeah.
Well, when we talk about TV shows, there's a couple that I think deserve to be on that Emmy list, and there's a couple I'm like, how? Who did you pay to get on this list?
We also have Taylor Swift news, of course, getting engaged to Travis Kelce. Congratulations to Taylor and Travis. Taylor also announcing on Travis Kelce's podcast, of all places, that her new album will be out on October 3rd. If you would have told me 10 years ago Taylor Swift would be announcing her album on a podcast, nonetheless, the podcast of an NFL football player and his NFL
Right.
football player brother, I would be like,
Yeah.
that's crazy. But that's what happened. So,
These are crazy times, and you just never know what's going to happen day to day. And I was excited about the album, and then the engagement. I'm excited. I'm really excited for them. Like, there's no shade here.
also, she dropped the engagement pictures at like 1 o'clock on a Monday. It was
Yeah,
like the randomest of times.
That was what was insane. I think the fixation on her is troublesome to me, where I'm just like, okay, like,
A little
for
bit.
instance, I was at a workshop. I'm in this leadership program this year. And so I was in a 2-day workshop, like, that's part of work, but it was outside of work. So it's like at this other location. It's at a university. And my phone just started exploding. And I could feel, I was wearing my Apple Watch at the time, and it just kept going off. And I was like, what's happening? I thought there was like an attack of some sort. And BBC was the first notification I saw that said Taylor got engaged. And I was like, are you kidding me? So I turned all my notifications off, and I'm really excited for her, but it's a bit crazy. And then her dress, she was wearing a dress that was a $400 Ralph Lauren dress, and it sold out in minutes. That's crazy to
Yeah.
me. It's a $400 dress that's not even that striking. Like, it's pretty, but it's not like, $400? No.
It seemed like a very casual outfit. Like, just,
Casual.
this is,
Yeah. And
like,
then,
for us, what would be like a $20 piece of clothing.
yeah. And then again, my love for Taylor is real, but like, even the podcast episode was 2 hours long. It took me like 4 days to listen to it. I did not hurry my way through that because I don't know. I had thoughts about it. I'm a little too scared to say them out loud on a podcast because people might come for me, but I had a lot of thoughts.
Yeah, it was an interesting way to announce the album, but nonetheless,
Yeah.
it's called The Life of a Showgirl. It will be out
Mhm.
October 3rd. We had a celebrity death just hours ago before we were recording. Giorgio Armani, famous
Yeah.
fashion designer, unfortunately passed away. I do love a lot of Armani suits. Usually a lot of the
Mhm.
actors at the Oscars or Emmys or things will wear Armani. Always
Definitely.
looks very good. Obviously, the fashion company will continue even with him passing away, but he was 91, so lived
Yeah.
a really good life. Honestly, that's pretty old.
Truly.
So and he did a lot of things in his life, of course, with the fashion brand, and that
Mhm.
fashion brand has been well revered for many, many years. It has, gone through the test of time. There's only a few that I could say really have like gone through decades and decades and still been relevant and very popular. Armani would definitely be one of those.
Right.
Versace is probably another one. There's like 4 or 5 maybe, but a lot of them come and go. But obviously his was so dominant for so long. So
Mhm. May he rest in peace.
And then we had some celebrity couples as well. So we don't know if this one is legit or not, but we had to talk about it. Katy Perry and Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau had a
Former.
little fling. Yeah, yep.
Yeah.
Uh so that was interesting because I did not think if you would have said who's going to get with Katy Perry, I would not have said Justin Trudeau.
Just a weird pairing. Like, actually, all of Katie's high profile relationships have never made sense to me. Not a single one.
Yeah, the Russell Brand one, Orlando Bloom,
That
just
didn't make sense to me. And I wish all these people well, but I was confused. But I have not really heard anything more about the Justin Trudeau thing, except that maybe nothing continued after that random weird date we saw in Canada.
okay.
So who knows? But the other two that Jared and I want to talk about are of note for different reasons.
Yeah, we have Tom Cruise and Ana de Armas. Interesting for sure.
Gross.
Uh,
I'm so grossed out.
gross.
Anna picks. She has weird. I don't know what she's going for. I really don't. I haven't been able to ever quite determine what she's attracted to. But Tom Cruise is so gross to me. And I know people are like, he was so hot. Yeah, he was so hot. I wouldn't say I look at him now and drool on myself. And I don't know. He's a lot older than her. I think he's 35 years older than her.
I just looked. He's 63. She's 37. So only about 20 something years.
Okay.
So she is actually older than I thought. I did not think she was 37 years old. She
Yeah.
looks younger than that. So,
But I don't know. I'm not into that one. But the last couple, Jared and I were thrilled.
we actually have an age appropriate couple.
Age appropriate, and they are so cute together. Pam Anderson and Liam Neeson. I don't know the last time I was this excited about like older adults getting together and really just a celeb couple in general. I'm pumped for this couple. Now, there has been a lot of talk, Jared, not to like veer off. There has been a lot of talk about, have you heard this? Austin Butler, Zoe Kravitz, and Harry Styles. Have you heard about this week?
No, is this like a throuple?
No, people can't. I wish. People cannot figure out what's going on basically with Zoe because they think she's with Austin because they're advertising. They're on their publicity tour for their movie.
Okay.
Caught stealing? Yeah, caught stealing.
Yeah, it just came out. Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
And they have really good chemistry. I mean, you can tell, and they're around the same age. Like they also just seem like they could be good professional friends. I don't know, like you and I would be. And then Harry Styles, I actually would love Harry Styles with Zoe Kravitz, but they were holding hands in Rome the other day or somewhere in Italy. But then she's also been flirty, I would say, with Austin. And so I don't know who to believe. I just know I've been intrigued because I'd be okay with either couple.
Yeah, that's interesting. So
But
that's
I
like
really
the
Yes.
that's like the little bit of drama with like Scarlett Johansson and Jonathan Bailey, which was not drama at all.
But he's gay.
That's what Colin Jost was making jokes about.
Openly and proudly gay. Yes. And Scarlett
He's
is
like,
very
I'm not really
happily
concerned.
Yeah. But back to Pam and Liam. I love them together. I am so every interview, even though I didn't see Naked Gun, I have watched like every interview with the two of them because they're just adorable. And Andy Cohen, who I adore, he was really, really, really good friends with Natasha Richardson, who was married to Liam and knew them back in the day, and said that Pam Anderson is a lot like her, like that they make a lot of sense, and he's really excited for them. Yeah, so I'm pumped.
There is a 15-year age gap there, but it feels more appropriate because they're
It
both
absolutely
older.
does.
Yeah.
And I do think when you're that age, who's counting,
Yeah. 73 and 58 feels better than 63 and 37. For sure. So,
describe my face right now.
Perplexed and
Thank
worried. We have a few more news items real quick. Vogue has a new editor-in-chief. It's not Anna Wintour anymore. And she's Candice Bergen's daughter.
Yes.
And so if you're in the Sex and the City lore, that even has more of a connection there.
Yes, correct. Because back during actual Sex and the City, not And Just Like That, but Candice Bergen was Carrie's editor, was her boss because she wrote for Vogue for a while in the show. And so she was her boss. And Candice Bergen's daughter in real life is named Chloe Mal. And Chloe was just named the next editor-in-chief of Vogue because Anna Wintour, and a lot of people are like, Anna Wintour is not retiring. She's just not going to be the editor-in-chief of Vogue, but she has a ton of other jobs. So anyway, just really interesting because Candice Bergen played the basically the job that Chloe's getting, her daughter, was the fake job she had on Sex and the City.
Interesting. Do you think
Yeah.
that's going to be a plot line in Devil Wears Prada 2, which is
It would
coming
be
out next year?
amazing. Also, I didn't know this either about Chloe because a lot of people were like, "Oh, that's Nepo baby situation there," but it kind of. But Chloe has worked at Vogue already for like over a decade, so it's not like
Okay, so she's been in the company. Yeah.
yeah.
Yep. So now we'll move on to TV shows. Katie, you have been watching a lot of TV shows. I just have
I
a
have.
couple that I wanted to mention.
Yes.
We'll go through yours first, though, and then I can hit on
Okay.
mine. So I know you had some. You've kind of organized these by like green, yellow, red. Like green,
Yeah.
must watch.
Yep.
Red, hated. Yellow, maybe.
Correct.
So the ones that you had on here that were green
Yeah.
were Department Q, Perfect
Mhm.
Match, Ginny and Georgia,
Mhm.
Real Housewives of Atlanta, correct?
Correct.
And I don't know what WWHL is.
Watch What Happens Live with Andy Cohen.
Oh, okay, with Andy Cohen. Yeah. So those are all big hits. You would
and the
definitely
4 seasons.
recommend.
The 4 seasons
Okay.
on Netflix. Okay. So the ones just rapid fire, so you guys know that I'm like, don't watch this. I did put And Just Like That, God forgive me, because it's just the way they ended it. It was too upsetting. So don't waste your time. The Hunting Wives. People went nuts over this show, but the acting was so bad. Like here,
I've heard a lot about this show, but I have not watched it.
Well, I read the book. I liked the book a lot better. I think that's what colors my perception here. But okay. If you want some good hot garbage, I mean that 100% of the way. I will not take it back. If you want some good hot garbage and you've got a weekend to kill, absolutely watch it. Just know you are not going to get superior acting and that everything about it is ridiculous and a little bit gross. I mean, we're talking incest, murder, political disagreements.
There's a lot of sex in it.
There's so much sex in it. Okay, 0 Day, please skip it. I watched it. I actually quit
what a
watching
name for a show.
Yeah, I had one episode left, and this is why I feel particularly slighted about this one because it's nominated for Emmys this year, and it's Robert De Niro, and it's the only TV show he's ever done. He's never done TV other than this. And it's got a really good cast of people, Jesse Plemons, who else did I say? Gabby Hoffman, Lizzie Kaplan.
Yeah.
They're all in it. And you'd think it would be good. And the reason I wanted to watch it, besides the Emmy thing, was the woman that did Homeland, like that wrote Homeland, did this show. And you can tell, right when it starts, you can tell. But it was like they were reusing plot lines from Homeland. I was like, nothing about this is original. This is so stupid. And people were killed. Like some of the stuff was just so gross to me that I was like, I've seen this before. And so I had one episode left and I quit. I was just over it. I was like, this isn't good. I'm done. So that's my review there. Okay. Thanks for caring. For my middle of the road, I won't dwell on any of these. A lot of them are Bravo. Actually, they're almost all Bravo.
Just about all
Peacock.
of them. Yeah.
Love Island After the Villa. That's the people from last year, USA. It's like their post lives. Love Island this year, which was, it's like a gazillion episodes. It was fine. It was really...
It was like a pop culture sensation. I never watched it.
For sure.
Yeah.
The Valley. Now, The Valley, I love The Valley. It was only season 2 of The Valley, but there was a lot of fighting and a lot of divorce, and it was really sad. Real House, I think it was the second season. Anyway, Real Housewives of OC. Honestly, most of the women I just despise on OC, but I can't stop watching it because it's like the oldest one. And you know me, I love Real Housewives, so I keep watching it, but that wouldn't be the one I'd recommend for people. Next Gen NYC. This is the kids of Housewives. So...
It's been on that long that we're at that point now.
Yes, and when they first introduced this concept, I was like, that's disgusting, and I'm not watching it. And then people were talking about it, and I was like, oh my gosh, I have to watch it. And I watched it in like a weekend. It was a really quick, it's like 8 episodes, but these kids are all very Gen Z. Like, I do not relate to them in many capacities. And they're not all from New York people, but it's mostly like East Coast families. But they think the show was so popular, they think they're going to do a West Coast one too. So anyway, so that's a mediocre. It was mediocre. It was fine. Okay, the ones that I'm like, yes. So Department Q. Now, Department Q, super violent, lots of swearing. So if you're like, I don't like those, don't watch it. But it has Matthew Good, who I think is so hot. And it takes place in Scotland, which he's English, but it takes place in Edinburgh, Scotland. And if you like any like police procedural, British crime show, dark thriller, this is for you. So
Okay. I need to
for
watch
sure.
that
And
one then.
psychological stuff, like where people are like, am I going insane? Is it the job? What is it? This show is for you.
Okay.
Okay. Perfect match. I don't really know what to say except this season was messy and I loved it. I was like, you guys are absolutely unhinged, but I couldn't get enough of it. I, especially AD and oh my gosh, Ollie in real life, I already by this time, like now in real life, they're already engaged and have a baby on the way. And so I felt like it was like too late to even watch Perfect Match, but I watched it. But I got to know their relationship and I was kind of like, I'm surprised you guys are getting married and having a baby, but good for you. Okay. And I'm not ruining anything because that's like real life. Like I knew that before the show started. Okay.
And so perfect match too, we should
Yeah.
say, is like it takes contestants from other reality shows that you might have
Yes.
seen from other ones and they're
Hmm.
on a show together. So like if you've
And
seen like,
The Mole,
Love is Blind
Love is
or
Blind,
yeah,
The
yep.
Mole, The Bachelor and Bachelorette had a couple people this year, which I enjoyed because the people they
Okay.
picked for the most part I was excited about. Yeah, but it's like fun, silly reality. You know me. You know me.
Yes.
Ginny and Georgia. I wanted to mention this because I didn't love last season. I absolutely loved this season. So I think this was season 4 or 5 on Netflix. It's a show about a mom and a daughter. Well, a mom who has 2 children. She had them when she was super, super young. She is so charming and so beautiful. So men, they all fall in love with her. They basically look at her and fall in love with her. And so she's basically got 18 triangles going at any moment. She's a pretty dishonest person. She's a very flawed character. Georgia is, and then Jenny is the same, but Jenny's a teenager, but her mom is like basically her not her age, but there's not a big like gap like some parents would have. And so it's just an interesting dynamic. But this season was great. Real Housewives of Atlanta gave me absolutely everything I wanted this year. I don't really have much more to say except I did not think it would be good because Candy Burris left, and it was an exceptional season. I absolutely loved it, so watch it. And I love Watch What Happens Live. Nothing to say there. They're on a summer hiatus now, so they should be coming back soon. But Andy Cohen interviews all sorts of people, but especially people from the Bravoverse, so it's my cup of tea. My absolute favorite thing on this list by far is the 4 seasons on Netflix. This is Tina
Okay.
Fey's show. It's already been, I think it was renewed before it finished airing,
Yeah,
like
I
on
think it was too.
Netflix. And it's Coleman Domingo, Steve Carell. Who am I forgetting? It's everyone. You would love everybody in this cast is so good. I cannot remember the woman's name, but there's a woman in it that's the youngest one, and she's a Broadway star. Like she's known on Broadway, and then she's also in Tina Fey's show Girls Five Eva on Netflix, which I haven't watched, but I've heard about.
Okay.
Anyway, it's such a good show, and it's based on a movie that Alan Alda starred in and I think wrote or directed in the 80s. And Tina Fey loved it, and so they made it into a TV show, and it had a lot of heart to it, but it's very funny. And a lot of it, you know what I have to say, it very much appealed to my age and would appeal to people that are probably 10 to 15 years older than me too, because it's about people who are not, maybe not quite middle aged or right at middle age. They're not 20. Like they're not 20, but they're definitely not retired, and they're married, and things change with like having kids or kids getting older, empty nesters. And it was just funny. Like it made jokes too about how you wake up and like your body just doesn't recover the same way. It's kind of the stuff that it's like it's sad, but it's funny, but I related to a lot of it, and it just cracked me up. So 4 seasons on Netflix. It's super, super good. And it's only 8 episodes, and
Okay.
they're less than an hour. They might be half hour, but it's
Nice.
great. And the 4 seasons, by the way, if anybody is a music person, which I am a classical music person and used to play in the orchestra forever, the 4 seasons by Vivaldi is a really famous piece, and it does all of the 4 seasons, and that music plays during the show because each 2 episodes a piece are devoted to a season. So it'll play like the
Okay.
beginning of Vivaldi's spring movement, and then those 2 episodes are the
Are
spring
in spring.
time. Yeah,
Okay.
but it was so good. Thanks for letting me share about those.
I had a few that I would probably recommend. These would be greens for me, and then I have a few yellows. I don't think I have any reds
Okay, love that.
on your list. The greens for me would be Quarterback on Netflix, which follows NFL quarterbacks. This season, they followed Joe Burrow, Kirk Cousins, and Jared Goff. And so this was filmed last season during that NFL season. But it's really interesting because you learn more about their personal lives, you learn more about their families, you kind of get to see the toll that football can take on them, and like Joe Burrow's house got broken into during when they were filming this, so he talks about that pretty candidly, and they just talk about like the pressures of the job and managing different things. So I would definitely recommend that, even if you're not like a hardcore NFL fan. If you like any of those guys, or if you want to find out more about them, or if you just like like kind of getting to know athletes better, that would be a good one to watch. So
That
I
sounds really
enjoyed
cool.
I enjoyed
People
that
love Joe
one.
Burrow here
I
in
bet.
Ohio.
Yeah.
Oh, wait.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's basically like your governor, right? Like
Hey,
unofficial governor of Ohio.
pretty much.
Another show I watched was The Mortician on HBO. This is a little documentary. It's like 3 episodes about this funeral home that was doing a lot of things kind of illegally. So like doing like mass cremations and like harvesting like gold teeth and rings and eyeballs and all kinds of crazy stuff.
Wait,
But
what?
they have one of the guys, the main guy on the show is the guy that used to run the crematory for this funeral home. And he is like the biggest like D bag I've maybe ever seen. Like he has such a giant ego. It is like crazy. But it makes for great television. So that's only 3 episodes. It's on HBO Max. So that would be The Mortician. That would be another green for me. Uh
Wow. I got to write
an-
that one down right this minute.
yeah, you gotta watch that one. I think
Yeah,
you would
that
like
sounds
it.
like a me show for sure.
Another show would be The Studio on Apple TV. I don't know if I talked about this on the last episode. I might have, but I don't think the season was done yet. The season wrapped up a couple months ago. Great show, comedy. Seth Rogen is like the head of a movie studio, and every episode has like a different issue basically that they're dealing with. But Ike Barinholtz is in it. Some other really great actors. A lot of actors that are real life actors make cameos because it's a show about a movie studio. So that was a really fun watch. Very funny. It's already been renewed for a second season. So if you like comedies, if you want to, if you like the behind the scenes of the movie business, I would recommend that. And then two that I would be like yellows for me. One would be The Bear, season 4. I haven't finished the season yet. I'm about halfway through, but I don't think this is going to be the best season of The Bear. I still think season 2 is probably the best season of The Bear. So far this has been a little better than season 3, but I don't know how much longer I'm going to stick with The Bear, which is unfortunate because that was like one of my favorite shows when it first came out, and now it just kind of is like fizzling out a little bit. And then another yellow for me would be Fit for TV, The Reality of the Biggest Loser. That is a documentary on Netflix. Again, 3 episodes about The Biggest Loser, the television show about, massive weight loss. Has people that were on the show. Bob Harper is in the documentary. Some of the producers of the show. Jillian Michaels is not in the documentary, which tracks with basically her whole personality. But they talk about the show and kind of some of the thing. It kind of dives into like how ethical was this, them losing all this weight so fast. I enjoyed it. I just think the way they kind of pieced it together was a little interesting. Like it jumps back and forth a lot. I don't know if it needed more episodes or it just felt like it was kind of rushed, like the whole story that they were trying to tell just in that 3 episodes. So that's why I'd be a yellow. I think if you watch the show,
Yeah.
you would maybe enjoy it. I didn't watch the show, but I'm always interested in like behind the scenes TV stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So that was interesting to hear because you had like the people that wanted to lose weight, but then like the aspect of like, pushing them to their limits makes for interesting TV. And so that whole discussion gets brought up throughout the course of it. But overall, it's only 3 episodes, so it doesn't take very long to watch it all. But I
Well,
think I would have liked more episodes, maybe.
that one looked intriguing to me, but I don't think I'll watch it either. But you made me think of two things. And seriously, those all sounded interesting. The Bear, the reason I haven't watched The Bear is exactly the feedback you gave. I've just heard it's like not as good. I'm probably still gonna watch it, but I'm not in a hurry.
Uh-huh.
So what okay, this whole thing with Sydney Sweeney, like that everybody basically hates her at this point,
She has great
and
genes.
I
Yeah.
have to yeah, and I have to say I'm not a Sydney Sweeney fan either, but did you see the other day she was spotted with Scooter Braun?
Yeah, I've heard they're like officially dating.
It makes 100% sense for me. I'm like, yes, absolutely. You know how they say game likes game or matches game or whatever, but I feel like some
Yeah.
people it's like gross matches gross. You know what I mean?
Game respects game. Is that what
Yeah,
you're trying
game
to think of?
respects game. People are gonna laugh. They're gonna. That's the soundbite. People are gonna be like, "What? She's an idiot. She's old." Um, and then the other thing you made me think of now, I'm forgetting it. Oh, a show I forgot to talk about that I had just watched was Love Thy Nader on Hulu. Have you heard about this?
No.
Okay, it's a clever name, I have to say. So Brooks Nader, who is a model, she was on Dancing with the Stars with Gleb, and they fell in love and they were hot and heavy, whatever. I didn't even watch that season of Dancing with the Stars, but I love that show. But she and her sister, she has three sisters, they're all stunning. They all look like they can't even be human. And they're from Louisiana, which, I have affiliations with Louisiana. So I was like, oh, that's interesting. And they were raised in a very conservative environment, have a super close knit family. And now all the girls are living together in New York City, like all four of the sisters. And
Okay.
so it's just a reality show that follows them. It's like, again, it's like 8 episodes. It wasn't really long. The one thing that was alarming to me when you talk about The Biggest Loser was what made me think of this is Brooks discloses in episode 7, because there's only 8 of them, they figure out that she is like definitely abusing GLP-1s and
Okay.
taking like weight loss, but she looks like she weighs 90 pounds and she's absolutely stunning. And she even says, like, yeah, the modeling agency said I had to lose 30 pounds and, I just take it, but it's not a big deal. And then they show like a bucket full of needles. And then her sisters, who are trying to have an intervention, she's like, well, you all have used it or are using it too. And they all are like 90 pounds soaking wet and absolutely stunning. And it's really freaked me out because there was really no resolve. It was kind of like they admitted this was a problem and that she shouldn't be abusing these drugs. And I know we like make a lot of jokes on here, and I honestly am very I make a lot of jokes and I'm lighthearted, but it was really alarming to me, and it's made me realize that we still have opioid problems and stuff, but it seems like this to me is our next fear, like our next thing that's horrifying is all these weight loss drugs and people abusing them, and then also taking them when people with like diabetes and stuff who actually need them are not able to get access to those drugs. So it was just really alarming. But if anybody watches Love Thy Nader, it's on Hulu and there's only 8 episodes.
So that's one thing. They did talk about that a little bit in the Biggest Loser show, how that has become prominent now and was not a thing when the show was happening. The other thing they focus on in that documentary about the Biggest Loser is that some of the contestants who are on the show, some of the contestants who even won the show, have gained back all that weight. And so that was a big discussion point as well, that like the lifestyle of working out 12 hours a day, it's just doesn't, you can't do it when you go back to like the real world and you have a job and you have a family and all that. When you're secluded on a, wherever in the middle of nowhere, just working out all the time, then you can do that. But then real life kind of steps in and you have to like, do that. And they talk about like how they should have received therapy for being on the show and things like that. And so that was very interesting.
Wow.
So now we will talk about some movies that we have watched on streaming. We'll just go through these quickly because we
Yeah.
have a lot to get to. The ones that I've watched recently, I did watch K-pop Demon Hunters, the hit craze on Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
I can see why kids would like that movie. I enjoyed it. I thought the songs were really good. The animation is cool, but I can totally see why kids are like just loving that. And then just yesterday, this is not a movie I would normally watch, but I watched Final Destination Bloodlines, which is the new Final Destination. Somebody said you should watch this; it's pretty good, and it was getting a lot of great reviews and everything. It was not bad. I have not watched any Final Destination movies. This is the first one I've watched. It's a horror movie. It's honestly pretty good. It was like entertaining the whole time. Had a semi decent script, which is kind of rare for a horror movie. So I thought that one was fine too. I think both of those would be like yellows for me. Not like you gotta go watch them. If you have kids, I would say yes to K-pop Demon Hunters because kids are like loving that movie so much and all the songs from it. And it's a great animated movie. And then Final Destination if you like horror movies.
Excellent. Thank you for the Rex. I would say I definitely have a lot that you could skip. I watched the Thursday Night Murder Club that's on Netflix. It was cute. It was nothing like to write home about, but it was really cute. And if people like that kind of
I
thing,
like the
watch it.
book. I
Yeah,
need to
I've
watch
heard
the
the book's really
movie.
good. I
Yeah.
watched Black Bag on Peacock. Thank you for the rec. My friend Adam, he does listen to the podcast. He used to be my neighbor. Great friend. We love watching movies together. I really liked it. I would just say it's not for everybody. It is quite slow, subdued, quiet. It's a great, like, noir kind of a film, really good acting. So if you like that, absolutely watch it.
Sounds
I
like a Steven
watched
Soderbergh movie.
Yes, exactly. The Ballad of Wallace Island is on Peacock. It has Carrie Mulligan in it. I love her. And the other two main actors, I did not know. I hadn't seen them in other things, but it's a really sweet movie, very poignant. If you like movies that are like European movies and there's no action, like there's no like explosions or anything, and you're just kind of into like a love story or a family story, you care about relationships, it's a great movie. Um, Okay, the two that I watched on Netflix, unhinged. One was Titan, the Ocean Gate submersible disaster. I would say you could absolutely skip it, but if you're like me and you're like really like, how did this happen? And you just want to be enraged by people completely discounting warnings and not caring about the safety of others, then watch that movie. And the other one was Unknown Number, the high school catfish, also on Netflix. I can't say much without spoiling it, but when you find out who the catfish is, it was one of the most disturbing, disgusting things I've ever heard in my entire life. But it's not very long. It's like 90 minutes on Netflix right now. It's one of the top rated shows. So if you like that, that's a crazy documentary. The three that I absolutely loved, I'm saying this prematurely. I've only watched part one of And So It Goes on HBO about Billy Joel. Jared has watched it. The first part blew me away. If you are a Billy Joel fan or you like documentaries, it's absolutely fantastic. And it is long. It's 5 hours.
Yeah.
It's
Yep.
2.5 hours each part. So
But he
that's
kind
why I've
of
only watched one. Yeah.
the part the what I really enjoy that they did with it though is they go
Mm-hmm.
like chronologically through his life, which I think is a really
Yes.
good way to approach it. So
Yep.
he goes through kind of like every album and is like, this is what I did for this album, and this is what I kind of wanted to do
Yep.
with this album, and things that happened along the way. So, and also like his manager was like his romantic partner as well.
Yeah.
So he talks about that a ton, which is
That
very interesting.
And I knew nothing about his
Yep.
first love. I knew Christy Brinkley on, and it's been fascinating. So that was great. Actually, all the ones I was majorly impressed by are documentaries right now. Call Her Alex on Hulu. I have really become an Alex Cooper fan. She obviously is younger than me. I'm not on TikTok. I wasn't listening to her back in the day when she started doing her podcast. I now do listen to Call Her Daddy, but I
She's
haven't
a
been
great
like,
interviewer.
she is such a good interviewer, and she really is a great example for women who want to be in leadership or positions of power. I think very highly of her, and I've been watching the Call Her Daddy episodes on YouTube now. But her documentary, I think I gave it 5 stars. I loved it. I thought it was so well done. And if you were like me and didn't have much of information about Alex Cooper, like, this answers all the questions. Lastly, My Mom Jane by Mariska Hargitay. It's on HBO. It's about her mom, Jane Mansfield. Obviously, this was right up my alley. I love Mariska, but I also love old Hollywood. And Jane Mansfield, I knew how she died. I knew all the, like, I don't know, this the stuff. Lore is not the word, but like all the stories that surrounded her death, and it was so fascinating to hear from Mariska's perspective. And it was also really sad um, that Mariska, like, that her mom died when she was so young that she basically has no recollection of her mom and how that shaped her life. But anyway, such a good movie, and all of those are pretty short. So other than
Okay.
And So It Goes, the Call Her Alex and My Mom Jane are, I think, 2 hours or under, both excellent things. So those are my rec.
Nice. We also have some theatrical movies that we have seen. We're going to talk more about some of these coming up in just a few minutes, but some that we're not really going to dive into that much. I know, Katie, you went and saw Jane Austen Wrecked My Life, and then the new movie The Roses, which just came out recently. The rest of yours on your list, I have seen, and we're going to talk about kind of all of those coming up here in just a minute, like little mini reviews. But what did you think of those two? The Jane Austen Wreck My Life and The Roses.
I can be really quick about these. The Roses, great actors. I think you can skip it. I hated the ending. I absolutely hated the ending because it wasn't tied up neatly in a bow and it was just kind of stupid. It felt like there was no payoff at the end. If you like Benedict Cumberbatch and Olivia Colman, they're great actors. Like it's fun to watch them. But I feel like every great actor has a bad movie, like a movie where people are like, why were they in that? And I think this is that for both of them. Okay, Jane Austen wrecked my life. My friend Adam that I had talked about earlier, we went to go see this at the small, like the local independent theater here in Dayton. It was so good. It was like a French movie where this woman wins. She's able to do this writing like conference internship program thing that's throughout the summer, and she goes to this like bed and breakfast that, of course, is in like an old English mansion or French mansion. It's not like a hotel, and she basically it's kind of a love story and it's about kind of like her should I continue to be a writer or should I do something else, but it was such a like charming movie and it does have some like nudity and swearing and stuff, but it was so good. And if you love anything to do with writing, English literature, or French culture, like this is a great movie for you.
So then you also had some books that you have read recently that would be recommends as well.
Thank you. So the books, I don't want to bore anyone to tears here, but I have been doing a lot of reading. I actually am kind
Ugh,
of sad.
reading.
I I don't have as many as I'd like. I mean, when you think about how many books I've read since we last chatted, it's kind of sad that I only have 5 on here. Look Closer by David Ellis. I saw this was recommended on Instagram by a bookstagrammer. It's a thriller. I'd never read anything by this author. It was so good. I did not guess the end. I didn't see it coming. It was one of those books I didn't want to put down. And thrillers are usually pretty easy and fast to get through, but I love when a thriller keeps me so engaged I don't want to put it down and when I can't figure out the ending. So again, that was Look Closer by David Ellis. Great Big Beautiful Life by Emily Henry. This had mixed reviews. It was mostly good reviews, but some people didn't like it as much as her other stuff. It is getting referred to Taylor Jenkins Reid's Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. There's definitely some overlap there as far as like an old Hollywood vibe and strong female characters. But I thought it was great. I really enjoyed it. I'm definitely in the camp of loving Emily Henry, and I've loved almost all of her books too. All the Colors of the Dark by Chris Whitaker. Jared and I have a very different opinion on this.
Yeah, I have
Because
not finished this book
yeah,
yet.
but you know what, Jared? I think I told you this. My best friend Kylie was the same way. I think that this book is not for everybody. And I think that's just that makes sense to me. Some people love fantasy and sci-fi, and that's just like not my thing. And
Yeah,
this
but I
book I
love
love.
thrillers.
Yeah, I love a thriller, but I love a drama, and I feel like this had a lot of like family drama to unpack, and it was like this historical crime that had happened years ago, and oh my gosh, this was one of the best long books I've read in a long time. It was 500 something pages. And I thought every one of the pages was good. There weren't things I wanted to like by the end I was like I don't want them to cut this out. It was so good. No wonder people were raving about it. That was All the Colors of the Dark by Chris Whitaker. Promise Me Sunshine by Cara Bastone. It's Cara with a C, Cara. This is the second book I've read from her, and I've given both of these books 5 stars, both of her books. This one actually is about the grieving a oh no, best friend or boyfriend. Now I can't even remember, but the main character is grieving a loved one, and she's kind of falling in love, but that's not really her intention. Like she's really just trying to move on with her life, and this and grief is kind of eating her alive. But I thought it was a really realistic portrayal of how grief can impact your life. And I do think it was a boyfriend, how if you were in love before and they die, how hard it would be to find love again. So beautiful book. And then the last one is James by Percival Everett. OMG, everyone's been talking about this book. It won the Pulitzer. It did have a very interesting way that it won the Pulitzer. Apparently, it was not the number 1 pick, it was the number 4 pick. And they couldn't agree. I guess there was some New York Times article or
Okay.
something about this. It doesn't matter. I think it's great that it won the Pulitzer. I wouldn't really argue it by any means. I'm just saying like apparently there wasn't complete agreement about this. But he also wrote Erasure, which is what American Fiction was based on. If you remember that movie, I absolutely loved that movie with Jeffrey Wright. And he is a professor in real life. Percival Everett is a professor at USC, and he's written every book. It looks like every book that I read in the the acknowledgement section or whatever at the end of the book, almost every one of them has been like shortlisted for a Pulitzer. It's crazy. Very talented writer, but James is told from the perspective of Jim, or James, who was the slave in Huckleberry Finn. Huck Finn by Mark Twain. And so this is basically like he's escaped from the plantation, he's on the run, Huck is with him, and then you see what happens after that, which I don't want to ruin anything, but I didn't see the end coming. And I've read Tom Sawyer, I haven't read Huck Finn, but I knew about Jim. But it fantastic, and it's a great commentary, of course, on slavery and how we have treated slaves and how racism continues to affect America and how all of it really is very much in the mind.
Yeah, that's a really good book. I read that one earlier this year and really enjoyed it. So I had a couple of books to recommend. I don't think I've recommended this before. Wild Dark Shore by Charlotte McConaughey. That book was great. I read that earlier this year. Fantastic. I
You
also
That was sorry,
oh
that was on my list because I looked at our last podcast. That was one that I had said because I knew
okay.
we both of us were like, this book is so good.
So maybe I did mention that on the last episode. I also read Middle of the Night by Riley Sager, which was okay. Fine little thrill. I read it on vacation, which I feel like is the perfect place to read a book like that because it's like it's a very easy read, quick read. We were in Washington D.C. and I just read it every day while we were on the metro, like riding back and forth from downtown, and I finished it over the course of a week. So that really makes me wish I had public transportation where I live because I feel like I could get a lot more reading done. But nonetheless, that was fine. And then another 5-star book for me would be the new Frederick Bachman book, My Friends. That was a fantastic book, great read. That might be my favorite book I've read this year. I don't know. I'd have to look. That's definitely going to be like one of my favorite books. That was a great book, though. I really enjoy Frederick Bachman, though, and so that was a great one by him.
You
So
said it was My Friends was the one?
My Friends, yeah,
Because
his brand new one, yeah.
that's been on my list, and I kept saying it was next for me to read, and I haven't yet, but I will read that before the end of the year. But that's awesome. That's very high praise. So I'll remember that.
So then we had just a few more things. You had some podcasts that you have been enjoying. Amy Poehler's podcast, which is great.
Yes.
She has very cool people on there. The whole feud, like the feud with Andy Samberg and Seth Meyers. Andy
Yeah.
Samberg hating Seth Meyers' dog.
And then the dog
And
died.
but didn't the dog die on Andy Samberg's birthday?
I
Like
don't know, but
karma.
his name was Frisbee, and Andy was so mean to him, and then he died, and I was like, this can't be real.
But that
It's
whole thing
so
like started on
sad.
the Amy Poehler
Yeah.
podcast.
Yeah.
So
But
yes.
Amy, I feel like Amy was made to do this. I love Amy Poehler so much. My friend Stephanie, who shout out Stephanie, because she listens to the podcast and I think very highly of her, and she recommended Good Hang. And I had meant to listen to it. And so I started listening, and I've listened to so many now. Martin Short was great. Jack Black is an angel. I love Jack Black so much. Tina Fey, that one's great. Rashida Jones. She's had fantastic guests on her podcast. And it's such an uplifting, happy, lighthearted podcast. So if you want to listen to that, I recommend it. And then the other one is called Culture Study. It's with Anne Helen Peterson. I will say I really like this podcast. It kind of covers all sorts of topics, but it's about it is about like culture, things that affect our culture. So they did an episode on private equity, but then they've also done stuff about celeb feuds. I was just telling Jared they were talking about Drake and Kendrick, their beef. So she does all sorts of things. But one thing I didn't like, that I don't like about it, is a lot of it is hidden behind a paywall. And so she'll do like
Boo.
there was a movie one that I was loving, and it was like 90 minutes of old movies. And then they were about to start talking about the rest of the list and said the rest of it is hidden behind a paywall, like you have to pay. And I was like, that's so, and she does that on a lot of episodes. So it's not like it's a bad show at all. It's a good show, but it's irritating to hide so much of it and keep it from people. And I understand people need to make a living, but not everybody has endless money for all these streaming services, every podcast, donating to charity. Like people don't have endless money right now. So anyway, but it is a good podcast. That's Culture Study by Anne Helen Peterson.
And then some shows that are coming out soon that are going to be big hitters. New season of Only Murders in the Building. I still haven't watched the last season, so I guess I should get on that before the new season comes out. I'm a season behind. Also, Real Housewives of Salt Lake City is about to premiere again.
Woo! Woo!
Katie's
September
pumped for that one.
17th.
And the new Office spinoff, The Paper, actually came out today on Peacock. I'm
Mhm.
very skeptical of this because I
Me too.
love The
Absolutely.
Office.
But I'm not as crazy about The Office as everybody was, but I love Donald Gleason. But I don't want him to mess it up. I don't know. I'm going to wait and see what people say, and if they love it, I'll watch it, and if not, I'm not going to waste my time.
I did see it already got renewed for a second season, so maybe that means it's popular. I don't know.
Maybe it's
So,
good. I don't know.
but The Office is such a good comedy. I don't know. I don't know how you can top that. So then we have our fall movie list here of some things that we are anticipating. There's a lot of movies coming out this fall, but we each picked just a couple to kind of highlight and ones that we are excited for. So a couple for me, I would say for me, One Battle After Another, the new Leonardo DiCaprio movie directed by Paul Thomas Anderson. That comes out in just a few weeks. That one looks very interesting. I don't know. It could be great. It could be awful, but I'm interested to check it out. Also has a pretty big budget, like $120 million. Now it is 2 hours and 50 minutes. I don't know if
Oh
I
my
love that.
gosh. Get me out of here. I am not doing that.
These 3 hour movies are rough.
Stop.
Another movie that I am looking forward to that comes out in October is called The Mastermind, and this is a Kelly Reichardt movie. It's starring Josh O'Connor and Alana Haim, and it is basically about a guy that is like an art thief. Josh O'Connor plays like an art thief, so kind of interested. That's kind of an intriguing premise for a movie. Also, would be looking forward to Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein. I feel
Yep.
like that is going to be really good.
Yep.
And
Yep.
then another one or two that I would pick, I would say the new Knives Out movie, Wake Up Dead Man. I'll be checking that out.
Mm-hmm.
And Marty Supreme with Timothy Chalamet is intriguing to me.
Jared,
And
we're
maybe I'm very skeptical on the Bruce Springsteen movie. I
I
hope
am
it's
too.
good, but
I
I
love
don't know.
Bruce. Yes. Jared, we said I highlighted a couple too, and you said at least three of the ones I
Okay.
highlighted. I'm really excited for Wicked for Good because which comes out November 21st. I was so skeptical of the first one and absolutely loved it. It blew me out of the water. So I think the second half looks just as good, if not better than the first half. Um, I'm excited for Blue Moon. I don't know if you heard about this. I came across the trailer on accident on YouTube, but it's got Andrew Scott, and everybody knows I'm obsessed with Andrew Scott
Oh, I
and
have seen the trailer for this.
Ethan Hawke.
Yeah. Yep.
Yes, and it looks fascinating. And it's about is it Rogers and Hammerstein?
Yeah, it's about Oklahoma,
Yes.
basically.
Okay. But
Yeah.
it looks fascinating, and I'm sure it's going to have stuff about sexuality, like who was gay, and the usual. But it looks great. And then Frankenstein, I'm actually on my list. I'm trying my best in October. I have meant for years to read Frankenstein, and so I'm hoping in October to read it because it's a classic that's intimidated me. But I'm hoping to read it because I can't wait for the movie. I think it's going to be great. I'm skeptical of this movie, The Housemaid. It comes out on Christmas Day, and it means I would have to watch Sydney Sweeney, and I think I've already made it very known how I feel about Sydney Sweeney, but Amanda Seyfried's in it. And the book, I actually have the book. I didn't know they were making it into a movie, but I had just picked it up in the bookstore and people have raved about it and Frida McFadden wrote it and people love her books. I've only read one of her books and I wasn't overly impressed, but we'll see how I feel about The Housemaid. But that is like if it's a Christmas Day release, they're obviously banking on it. Like someone's putting their money on it doing well, so we'll see. And then Marty Supreme, I have to do anything to support my boy Timothy Chalamet. I think it'll be good. I have very weird feelings about the Safdie brothers, but I love Timothy, so I'll go see anything with Timothy in it.
I know you're just pumped too for Avatar: Fire and
I wouldn't
Ash.
even put it on the list. You know why? Because I don't care. When the trailer came on the other day when I went to go see The Roses, I just took out my phone and started texting people. I was like, I will not give this 3 minutes of my time again. I've already seen the trailer like two or three
Oh.
times.
Apparently, I don't think the runtime's finalized, but what I'm seeing here is 3 hours and 12 minutes for the new
You better
Avatar.
shut your mouth.
That better be the best movie I have ever seen for
I
3 hours and 12 minutes of my time.
oh, James Cameron.
That's so long.
I
Why?
cannot. I cannot.
Also, I would
Yeah.
say looking at this list, October looks like it's going to be the most stacked month. So
Yeah,
just
October looks
FYI, for if you're a
crazy.
movie fan, it appears October is going to be there's just be bangers dropping like
It's
every week, pretty
insane, and
much.
it's like several movies a weekend. October
Yeah,
10th, 17th, and 24th are crazy. 24th,
yeah.
17th,
24th is a Springsteen movie.
yeah,
17th is
and
yep.
and then what else is it? Oh, if anybody's looking for this, I found an article on rollingstone.com called The Best Movies of Fall 2025. It had like 30 different movies on it. Like we just picked top 5 or something that we were excited
Yeah, about
about,
10
but
of
I'm
them.
excited
Yeah,
about a lot of them. Yeah. So if anyone's interested and you're a big movie fan, go to rollingstone.com and look up that list.
nice. We will take a quick break and then we'll come back and talk about some of these movies a little bit more in depth that we saw throughout the summer here on the Silver Screen Podcast. Welcome back here on the Silver Screen Podcast. We've got a couple of movies we're going to roll through and give you a little bit more in-depth thoughts on. We have about 4 or 5. The first one of those is the one that came out the earliest. That is The Materialists. So Katie and I both saw this. This is a Celine Song movie starring Dakota Johnson, Chris Evans, and Pedro Pascal about a matchmaker. Dakota Johnson plays a matchmaker, and she's trying to find herself like the perfect match. But she's also still attracted to her ex, which is Chris Evans. So Pedro Pascal kind of plays the new person that comes into her life, and
Mm-hmm.
Chris Evans is like the guy from before that she still has feelings for. And she is in New York City, correct? And
Yes.
she's a very like well-known matchmaker, like setting people up on dates and relationships and things
Mm-hmm.
like that. So that's the premise of the movie. So this movie was very interesting to me. I thought it was okay. I know I'm not the target audience for this movie.
Sure.
It was fine though. I thought the performances were pretty good. Like you had in your likes, I thought Chris Evans was definitely the best part. I almost would
For
have liked
sure.
more of him in the movie. He's kind of like the
Yes.
third lead in this Dakota Johnson, Pedro Pascal, Chris Evans hierarchy. He's kind of the furthest. He has the least amount of screen time, I would
I
say, of
thought
the
he was
three. Yeah.
I thought he was like probably second, but to me he was the standout.
Yeah, yep. He was really good in the movie. Dakota
Mm-hmm.
Johnson, okay, I guess. I don't
I
know.
love her.
I'm still not sold on her
I
as an
will
actress.
fight for her. I agree with you. I mean, I don't think she's going to be our Kate Blanchett. You know what I mean? But I think with pretty much every movie I've seen of hers in the last few years, she is getting better and better. So I think maybe it's just finding the right roles. I liked her in this.
And
I
this is
actually
a
thought
good role for her, I
that
will say.
that
Yeah.
I agree. I just thought Chris Evans, like, he should have never done those Dude Bro movies back in the day. He's so good. He really is good at these dramatic pieces. Like the movie I've talked about that I raved about that he was in was Gifted, that they filmed in Savannah. That's one of my favorite things I've ever seen him in. And it was a role similar to this, where he has to have a lot of heart and there's like really subtle acting. He was great.
He had to get that Captain America money first,
He
so
did,
he
yeah.
could do these
Yeah.
type of movies. Some other likes for this movie: production design was great, locations were great, costumes, of course. Like this is a very like rich, like so. Dakota Johnson is semi-rich in the movie.
Uh-huh.
She's doing okay for herself, basically.
Yeah.
Chris Evans is kind of like
Not doing
shares
well.
a not doing well. Like shares an
He
apartment
is
with like two
he's
other
not
people.
he's not a working actor. He's like an
No,
out of work, living with
yeah.
roommates in a dirty apartment actor.
And then Pedro Pascal is like super rich, super like
Yeah.
family,
He's the
has a
1%.
ton of wealth.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so like the costume design is reflected in that throughout the movie in
Yeah.
terms of what the characters are wearing. So
I left the theater and immediately bought the MAC lipstick pencil that she uses at the beginning of the film. I was like, we have the same skin color. Like I have to like we're like the same shade of pale. Fair skin, excuse me. But I thought that was beautiful. I think this movie, what it did well was it had a lot of commentary on a social class and money. And it actually talked about it in a way that a lot of people don't. And they were very candid about things we're not often candid about when we date people and look for life partners. We do factor in money, and we should factor in money. You shouldn't marry somebody for money, but you have to think about things like, can somebody provide? Can we work hard? How will we deal with things if we aren't doing well financially? So it talked about like really good topics. And there was random sexual assault, which was crazy. I felt like I really liked how they did that, but I also was like, the marketing, that was my huge dislike of this film is they marketed this as like the rom-com of the century. They were like, when Harry met Sally, you've got mail, it's coming back. And that's what brought me to the theater. And then I was like, this is dark. Like, we are talking about hardcore sexual assault allegations and poverty. So I thought the marketing was bad, bad, bad.
Yeah, my other dislike for this would be, this is a slight spoiler. The Pedro Pascal legs surgery storyline was
I knew it. I
comical.
knew it. When you started talking, I knew this was going to be it. And I agree with you. I agree with you.
Was so comical. Basically, he had this leg lengthening surgery to make himself taller and make himself more attractive so more women would date him. Just outrageous for the fact that it's Pedro Pascal of all
I
people
know.
in this role,
And
and it was
everyone's
like
in
one of
love
the
with
most
him.
like attractive actors already. People love him, and so that was a crazy. I just felt like that didn't need to
Yeah.
be in there. That was a crazy plot line. And then that was, I was just laughing during that scene. I was like, what is going
Yeah.
on? And then another dislike, obviously, Celine Song's a great director. This is her
Yeah.
second or third movie.
Second.
Just second movie.
Yeah.
But it's not as good as Past Lives, which
No.
is fantastic. So if you
Which,
liked this, you should go watch Past Lives if you
for
haven't.
sure. And I don't think this was a bad movie at all. I loved it. Like, I
It was
really,
fine.
I
Yeah.
would absolutely watch this again. I might even buy this. Like, I love visually beautiful movies like this, but it's so rare that you have a director that they knock it out of the park during their first movie, and Celine Song did. So I would have been shocked if this was as good as Past Lives. I think Past Lives is a nearly perfect film. So anyway, those are my thoughts on The Materialist. Thank you for letting me share.
Next up, a movie that is completely different, F1, starring Brad Pitt, about an
Mm-hmm.
F1 driver that comes out of retirement to team up with a younger driver. Brad Pitt plays the retired F1 driver, Sonny Hayes, I think is his name.
Uh-huh.
And he's back on the scene. He wants to get back into racing. This is directed by Joseph Kosinski, who directed Top Gun Maverick.
Mm-hmm.
So they have a lot of cameras on the F1 cars, actually are driving. Brad Pitt talked a lot in the press tour for this about how he was driving the cars at certain times. And so try to keep that realism aspect in it, which I think would be one of my likes for the movie, is that I think having the actual cars and filming them and not using CGI for that and going to actual tracks and filming that was definitely added a sense, definitely heightened it. Definitely felt like a movie you should see in theaters because of
For
that,
sure.
because it wasn't just CGI. Brad Pitt in this movie, he's actually pretty good. This is a
Mm-hmm.
pretty good Brad Pitt performance, honestly,
Agreed.
which I know you're conflicted with.
Well, I love Brad Pitt. I do. I think Brad Pitt's a great actor, and he is just as scrumptious to me as he was back in the day, but he's problematic. I mean, it does seem like even though he hasn't been convicted, it does seem like there's been some abuse, like some actual abuse, and maybe even towards his kids. And that I can never really forgive. But I can't help but really like him in movies. And I know I'm hypocritical because some actors I can't separate from their artwork. Brad Pitt, I can. I can just be like, I loved him in this movie. I don't know that I want to know him in real life. But I agree with you, Jared. I think also Jared and I remind everyone we're from Indiana. So it would be blasphemous if we didn't like this film or didn't attempt to like this film with all of the car racing from Indiana that we're known for.
Yeah, I feel like the
I
sequel will be about the Indy 500.
Yeah, it for sure. I thought this movie was like visually also really beautiful. It was super engaging. Like if Brad Pitt wasn't in this, probably wouldn't have gone to see this film. So Brad Pitt was a big draw. I really love Top Gun Maverick, so the Joseph Kosinski connection did matter to me. But I really was pretty shocked by how much I liked this. However, I'll say my only real dislikes about this. Oh, and the music was really good. Um,
Yes, Hans
this
Zimmer.
was, yes, this was a movie I didn't really think about at all after I left the theater. Like, it was even hard for me doing notes for the podcast to kind of recall stuff about it. It's just kind of a one and done for me. Like, I enjoyed it. The whole family went together, my parents. Like, this was a fun thing we did in Indiana on a weekend. But it's probably not one I'd watch again. And it wasn't like there was no life lesson in it for me.
Yeah, unlike Top Gun Maverick, which I have rewatched a couple times, this one I just don't feel like rewatching. You even heard, like, I kind of forgot Brad Pitt's character's name there for a second. Like, I feel like that just kind of is how this movie is. Like, you watch it, you're like, oh, it's fine, enjoyable, and then you move on. I will say, just like I had for this one, was more theater specific, but for some reason, the theater I went to see this in, the movie would just stop and start randomly. Like not in the beginning, but like near the end of the movie, it would like stop and pause and then start like 10 or 15 seconds later. And so everybody in the theater was just getting annoyed at that because it did it like 4 or 5 times. So don't know if that was the
Wow.
theater's problem. Don't know if that was Apple's problem for the way they delivered the movie to the theater, but like, get it together, people. Come on.
We went to the Living Room Theaters that's downtown Indianapolis.
Yeah,
There's only
great
2 of
theater.
them. Yeah, there's only 2 of them in the United States, and that was something my mom wanted for Christmas, was for us to all go to a movie together, which was so sweet. So we got her a gift card, and went, but it was a great experience. The food was wonderful, the alcohol was great, the movie was great. So highly recommend if anyone lives in those two locations to go to Living Room Theaters. They're really cool.
Yeah, that's a great theater. So, next up, Superman, directed by James Gunn, starring David Cornsweet as Superman in this film. This one is kind of a whole reboot of the DC I guess. James Gunn basically came over from directing Marvel movies and is now the head of DC and is basically saying we're going to start fresh and start from scratch. And this is the first movie in kind of that redesigned DC universe. This one was very, very good. This is probably one of my favorite movies of the summer. It will probably be in my top 10 of the
Me
year.
too. Are
It
you
was
shocked?
a little bit for you,
Me
yeah.
too.
But
Yes.
this was great. David Cornsweet. I didn't really know David Cornsweet that
Nope.
much before this movie, but he is a really good Superman. I think the casting they kind of nailed.
They absolutely, people love that man. Like, even Sean texted me and was like, David Cornsweet is so fantastic. And I watched interviews with him, and he seems really wonderful. He, to me, has what I truly haven't seen this in a long time, the very old Hollywood quality classic movie star. Like, he reminds me of my beloved Cary Grant or Gregory Peck. He's like that tall, dark, and handsome, like old Hollywood guy, and just he's like oozing charisma both on and off screen, and he seems like a genuinely nice human being. So I loved him. He was a great casting choice.
I think the main thing with this movie is that the casting is really good. It's got a really good story. You care about Superman,
Yep.
and the thing that I think makes it likable is that Superman is not shown as this like invincible person, which I think in
Mm-hmm.
all the other movies he's kind of been like nothing can harm him. He except kryptonite, and he is just so strong and so like everybody likes him and everything like that. And in this movie, he's dealing with some issues. He's got relationship issues. He's got kind of like saving the world type issues.
Mm-hmm.
So I also like that this just kind of you just kind of jumped into like where he was. Like we didn't need a whole backstory. We
Yeah,
didn't
you
need
don't
to
need the
know that
origin story.
you don't need to know that he's like dating Lois Lane. Like yes, that's you probably know that if you know anything about Superman. Like so I like that we just kind of jumped in like right with the story and just kind of got going. So this movie has some great characters too. I know you liked Mr. Terrific.
I was
Uh
obsessed with Mr. Terrific. And the gentleman's name is Eddie Gathegi. He was so fine, but also like I loved that character, his like dry humor, but he really cared about saving people. I was like, who is this man? I loved him, Mr. Terrific. And then Skylar Gazondo, I think that's how you say his name. He was in Booksmart. He is so freaking
yes.
funny. He is a scene stealer. He could have 5 lines in a movie and he's going to steal the movie. And then Nicholas Holt was a great villain. And I've only seen Nicholas Holt in like 3 other movies, and this was probably my favorite. And then everybody loves Rachel Brosnahan. How could you not? She was great, but I thought the entire cast was really standout.
Yeah, Nathan Fillion was great as a Green
Oh yeah.
Lantern.
Oh, and then
He was funny.
whoever played his adopted parents, they were adorable. And I did, Jared, I cried a couple times during this movie. Anything that has anything about parenthood makes me cry. So the fact that these 2 people adopted him and cared so much for him and treated him like their own, and also like relished any moments they got with him. It was just beautiful. And then I did say shout out to the woman saving the turtles. If you remember, there was a lady that like ran to save the turtle so it didn't get like squashed, and I was like, yes, because that would be me. That would be me. And then what was the other? Joey and Crypto. I really did. There was
Crypto.
when Crypto, I was like, if anything happens to this dog, I will not talk about this movie. I will give it an F, and it will be dead to me. So thank God. Spoiler alert, Crypto is okay.
Great sidekick. Although
Such a good sidekick.
there is a
He
part of the movie
reminded
where you
me,
think he might be in danger.
he reminded me of Rupert because our cat, because he, sometimes behaves and then sometimes you're like, you're being useless, but you're so cute. So
Yeah,
I
he
freaking
reminded me a
loved
lot of
him.
my dog because he acts the same
Yeah.
way. So, yeah, they captured
And
that very well.
oh, Eve the influencer, so funny. She was so funny. Everybody, I loved this movie. There was so much I really loved about it. And I actually couldn't think of any dislikes. I don't know that we needed another superhero movie, but I think this was a great start to like help the DC franchise. And I really enjoyed it. Rave reviews from me.
And James Gunn just announced the other day the new one is called Man of Tomorrow, and that's going to come out in 2027. So
Okay.
July of 2027. So Supergirl is coming out next year, and then the next Superman movie is gonna come out July 2027. David Cornsweet is gonna be back. And Nicholas Hoult is supposed to be back as Lex Luthor. So I really like that. Like if they keep the same
Yeah.
villain through all of these, I think that's
Yeah.
interesting because not a lot of superhero movies do that. Like they always switch the villain, like Spider-Man or
Mm-hmm.
Batman or whatever. So if they keep the same villain for like a couple movies, that's kind of intriguing to me in terms of what they
Yeah.
could do with that storyline. So then we both saw one movie that the other person did not see. So
Yes.
I saw the new Jurassic World Dominion, I believe. Why
I
do
don't
I?
even
Nope, that's
remember.
not the new one. Sorry, Jurassic World Rebirth. From from this summer, starring Scarlett Johansson, Jonathan Bailey, and Mahershala Ali. Stacked cast for this one. This was okay. Look, none of the Jurassic World movies are going to be good as like the OG Jurassic Park. I had a fine time with this. It was okay. If you like the dinosaurs, you'll enjoy it. The action sequences are pretty good. The story is freaking outrageous. It's like all over the place. And there is like, for the life of me, I don't understand why they did this. A huge monologue scene between uh Scarlett Johansson, Jonathan Bailey, and Mahershala Ali. That's like 15 minutes, like near the beginning of the movie, where they're trying to explain all this stuff to you. It's like, why did we not pace this out a little bit better? But the dinosaurs do look cool. I would say the best actor in this, I don't know. They're none of them are doing particularly great.
I'm telling you,
Uh,
everybody has to have one movie where you're like, why did they do this? I mean, the
Maybe
paycheck. For this one,
ScarJo. Yeah.
for the paycheck, because I'm sure it made money. I really
Oh
went back
yeah.
and forth on seeing this, but when Jared told me how he felt about it, I was like, I'm going to skip it.
Yeah. So the acting is not great.
Mediocre at
Uh,
best.
what'd you say?
Mediocre at best.
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
The special effects are pretty good. So I would say
Okay.
if you want to watch the dinosaurs, if you want to see the dinosaurs, watch that. You could even, when this movie comes to streaming, this is a wild suggestion, but just go through and anytime there's a dinosaur, stop it and watch that scene and then fast forward and then go to the next one with a dinosaur. So,
I don't know if I'm
uh,
going to do that, but you know what? I hear you.
yeah,
I hear you.
it's also it's also a little long too. It's 2 hours and 15 minutes. I feel like if we could have got it down to like hour
We don't
45,
need
that would have
that.
been great. So, and then so that's my thoughts on Jurassic World. Definitely will not be on my top 10.
Okay.
It was okay, not great. And then I know you saw Fantastic Four, the first steps, which I have
Yeah.
not seen yet. What do you think of Fantastic Four?
Listen, people are going to hate me for this. I didn't love it. I didn't love it.
Okay.
I I think if people love the Fantastic Four, like you're absolutely going to like it. I didn't grow up with them, obviously. I didn't really know much about them and I didn't really care. I went because I was really intrigued by the actors. What I did like about it, I like the time period. It's like 60s, 70s. I love that vibe. I love that look. I really liked the cast. Again, I think this was a classic, great casting choice. Everybody was good. They really fit their role. There was a car seat bit. I laughed so hard. I think I probably distracted the people around me. They were trying to figure out because Sue Storm is pregnant and they're trying to figure out how to put a car seat in the car. And it was like reliving moments of my life with our son where I was just like, man, it was so real life example. Like it wasn't something that wouldn't happen to people. Like if you have any children in your life at all, whether they're your children or an aunt, a cousin, or niece, nephew, whatever, like this will happen to you at some point where you're just like, how do we get this out of the car? How do you get it in the car? And how do you buckle them in the car? It was so funny. And I thought there was a lot of like cute moments, especially because it revolved around family and taking care of each other. And I thought that was lovely. I will say, I actually thought this was a really not a great performance by Pedro. I don't think it was Pedro's fault, actually. I don't like the character he played. And I talked to someone who's a big fan of, like, grew up with Fantastic Four. He's like close to my dad's age. And he said that character is like written that way. So
Okay.
I don't know, but I didn't love that character. Here was my biggest gripe though. A lot of it just felt very gimmicky to me, but there was this giant creature, the bad guy, I don't remember his name and I don't care. He like moved, he could like destroy anything. He could like kill everything. He was crushed stuff left and right. But then he like moved slower than molasses. He could like barely like if you moved fast
Okay.
enough, he couldn't get you. And I was like, this is so stupid. And then he was obsessed with a baby. Like that was the whole thing. Spoiler alert, people know it at this point, but like they think this baby that Sue Storm is giving birth to is like basically God and that the baby needs to be sacrificed. That's the premise. And so first I thought, I know people can't agree on everything, but most human beings are not going to be like, yeah, go sacrifice this child. Like, what decade are we in? So that was crazy to me. And then the fact that this guy who can barely move because he's so big, that he's the villain and that he's terrified of his child, it just, there were so many things that just seemed silly to me. So I could barely get through it. I don't even know how many times I checked my watch. I was just like, I'm not into this. I did think the cast again, it was good. But it just did absolutely nothing for me. I would not watch it again. So it wasn't my favorite.
Okay.
Whereas Superman, exceptional.
And we should say you also liked Thunderbolts, which came out earlier this
I
year.
did. Yes. Those have
So,
been, I think both of those were great. And I think we all know I can be pretty hard to win over for a superhero movie, but I
mhm.
think when they're done well, they're really good.
Isn't it the worst too when you're like watching the movie in the theater and you check your watch and it's only been like 20 minutes?
It
And
had
you're
been
like,
an
we're in for a
hour.
long haul.
We
Okay.
had so much time left. I was like, oh, and I was by myself. And I don't look at my phone or anything. Like I don't do
Yep.
anything else. And I think I've walked out of one movie in my life, if that. Like I just don't leave movies. And so to
That was
think I
kind of me
spent
with
like,
Jurassic World. I was like, oh, it's only been
yeah.
45 minutes. Oh my gosh.
Well, and just I don't often get a lot of like time to go out on my own and go see a movie or something. So when I see a bad one, it really sticks with me. It just
Yeah,
wasn't my
that's
favorite. It wasn't like
unfortunate.
it wasn't a monstrosity. It wasn't like garbage. It's just I just thought like there was a lot of hype and it wasn't worth it to me.
So there you go. That's our thoughts on a lot of different stuff. We covered a lot of things in this episode:
We
TV,
you know,
movies,
people
books.
waited a long time. We wanted to give the people our thoughts and hopefully what they want.
Yes. So you can follow the Silver Screen Podcast on social media at Podcast Silver. Also, check out our YouTube channel. If you listen to podcasts on YouTube, you can find all the episodes there as well. Just search the Silver Screen Podcast and you can listen on YouTube. Our last episode had a decent amount of listens on YouTube. So
Excellent.
some people are listening on YouTube. So we appreciate that if you're listening on YouTube. And for future episodes down the road, we don't really know. Like we said, we probably will do some of the heavy hitters that are coming out. Again, it looks like October is going to be a stacked month, so I would probably guess we'll probably have an episode beginning in November, maybe
Hmm.
earlier, with some of those movies because it seems like there's going to be a lot of good stuff to see. And I always like this time of year too because now we're getting into like the Oscar
The
movies
good
and
ones.
movies that are just have more interesting storylines or
Yeah.
plots or not like the summer blockbusters are fun, don't get me wrong,
They
but
are. They
they're
are. There were
they're
some
usually
good ones.
pretty simple. So when you
Yeah.
get into some of these other types of movies that are more awardsy movies, have some more
Hmm.
interesting things going on, that always intrigues me. And it seems like this year is going to be really good. So
Seriously. I'm excited.
yeah, and I think at this point there's no like clear runaway for Best Picture, which is kind of good too. You know, there's not like
Hmm.
one movie that everybody's like, this is going to be the movie. And some years that happens, but it doesn't seem like it's happened yet this year, and we're in September. So yeah, very cool. Well, thank you guys so much for listening to this episode, and we hope you enjoyed it. And like we said, we'll be back sometime in the future.
Until next time, we'd like to thank the Academy.